Good morning, Alex. Please sit and have your breakfast.
No, honey, I'm going 1 meal a day. I read online that it burns fat, boosts brain power, and even slows aging. So from now on, 1 plate, 1 meal, that's it.
1 meal a day?
Mm-hmm.
For 30 days? Is not this extreme?
I will surely discuss its science with doctor before following this 1 meal a day.
What happens when you eat just 1 meal a day for an entire month? In this video, you will travel inside your body to witness the organ-by-organ transformation, how your liver activates a hidden fat-burning factory, why your brain gets sharper even as your stomach screams for food, the shocking thing your body does to your cholesterol, a cellular cleaning process so powerful that scientists believe it could slow aging itself. But here's the twist. Not all the changes are good. So, watch till the end.
Welcome to Young Scientist School. Your scientific journey begins here.
Hi, doctor. I want to eat just 1 meal a day for the next 30 days. Everyone online is talking about OMAD. What does the science actually say?
OMAD is one of the most debated topics in nutrition science right now, because some of the research is genuinely exciting, and some of it is genuinely concerning. Here's a fact that might surprise you. The idea of eating 3 meals a day is not based on biology. It's based on the Industrial Revolution. A paper published in Proceedings of the Nutrition Society noted that structured 3-meal patterns only became standard in societies within the last 200 years.
So, our bodies are actually built for this?
Yes, built for intermittent scarcity. But is your body built for doing it every single day with modern food in a modern lifestyle? That's where it gets complicated. The most important study on OMAD was published in 2007 by Stoat. Scientists put healthy adults on 1 meal a day for 8 weeks and compared them to people eating 3 meals. The results were surprising for both camps. Let me show you what happens inside, organ by organ, first.
One meal? 1! I was built for 3. This is like telling a pilot he can only land once a day.
Calm down. Let me handle this rationally. Actually, I also feel terrible. Where's my glucose? I can't concentrate and can't make decisions.
For years, this body has been fed every 4 or 5 hours. Now suddenly, there's a 23-hour gap, and the body don't know how to respond yet.
Relax, everyone. I've got 100 grams of stored glycogen. That's roughly 400 calories of emergency fuel. I'll keep the lights on for the first 12 hours.
And after 12 hours?
After 12 hours, we will switch.
Switch to what?
Fat. The body starts breaking down stored fat into ketone bodies, primarily beta-hydroxybutyrate. It's an alternative and more cleaner fuel source. Research showed that this metabolic switch from glucose to ketones is one of the most significant biological adaptations in human evolution.
My ghrelin levels are through the roof. That's the hunger hormone. I'm sending SOS signals to the brain every 30 minutes.
Trust me, I'm getting all your signals, stomach. It feels like someone is screaming, "Eat!" directly into my hypothalamus.
I'm officially a ketone production facility. Fat is being broken down and converted into fuel.
I have to admit that during the fasting hours, I'm feeling sharper, like someone cleaned my windshield. The fog from day 1 is gone.
Research showed that ketone bodies provide up to 60% of my energy needs during extended fasting, and I actually prefer this fuel.
My beta cells are getting a genuine 23-hour recovery window. Insulin sensitivity is improving. But Stoat 2007 study also found that cortisol levels decrease during OMAD. My stress response is calming down. I hate to admit it, but the ghrelin waves are weakening. Research showed that ghrelin spikes at your usual meal times, but when you consistently skip them, the hormonal clock resets within 1 to 2 weeks.
So the fasting part is going well. But I need to be honest, when that 1 meal hits, it's a completely different story.
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. Stuffing an entire day's worth of food into one sitting? Ugh, I'm bloated, stretched, and fighting acid reflux.
And processing all of that at once puts serious pressure on me too. My enzymes spike, albumin and blood urea nitrogen level changes.
The study found that OMAD participants showed higher fasting blood glucose and a delayed insulin response compared to 3-meal eaters. My beta cells rest for 23 hours, then face a tsunami they struggle to manage.
I am concerned too, because spreading protein across multiple meals boosts muscle synthesis better than eating it all at once.
Valid concern. But here's the counterbalance that is human growth hormone. Research showed that a 24-hour fast boosts HGH by up to 2,000% in men and 1,300% in women. HGH preserves muscle and burns fat during fasting. But maximizing muscle growth is a concerning issue. Research showed that spreading protein across multiple meals increases muscle synthesis by 25% compared to a single meal. During fasting, the body starts breaking down damaged proteins, malfunctioning organelles, and even precancerous cells.
So, the body eats its own junk? Yes, research showed that fasting dramatically upregulates autophagy in you and me. In the brain, it clears beta amyloid and tau, which are the same proteins that accumulate in Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease.
I have a mixed report. During the 23-hour fasting window, my inflammation markers, that is CRP and IL-6, are genuinely declining. But here's the complicated part. The SOAT 2007 study found that despite fat loss and lower inflammation, total cholesterol and blood pressure elevated.
How is that possible? Better inflammation, but worse cholesterol?
Fasting reduces inflammation, but the massive fat load from a single meal spikes cholesterol production. Both things are true at the same time, and that's make OMAD complicated.
Research from MIT showed that during fasting, my gut lining is regenerating. Beneficial species are flourishing. My report is mostly positive. With stable blood sugar for 23 hours a day, glycation damage is slowing. New collagen is growing stronger. Filtration during the fast is smooth. But the overall blood pressure elevation Hart mentioned affects my glomeruli.
All right, everyone. 30 days. Let's lay it all out on the table, honestly. What improved and what didn't.
The 23-hour fast efficiently burned fat, lowered inflammation, and triggered autophagy. However, processing a full day's calories in a single meal caused massive daily enzyme spikes.
My beta cells rested, and insulin sensitivity improved during the fast, but the massive daily sugar flood from one meal gradually worsened my overall glucose tolerance.
Inflammation dropped, but cholesterol and blood pressure worsened over 30 days. It's a complex trade-off. Better inflammation, but worse lipids.
HGH protected my muscle during the fast, but consuming all daily protein in one sitting made muscle synthesis 25% less efficient.
My diversity improved. My gut lining healed. The fasting hours were a gift.
Fasting provided premium ketone fuel, drastically improving my clarity, focus, and mood. However, those long-term cardiovascular risks could eventually threaten my own blood supply. 30 days. Here's the truth about OMAD. The benefits and the risks happen simultaneously every single day. During the 23-hour fast, the body heals, cleans, and recovers. During the 1-hour meal, the body is overwhelmed and stressed. The real question is whether OMAD's daily healing outweighs the daily stress, and that depends entirely on the person, the meal, and the duration. The most powerful medicine and the most powerful poison are often the same substance. The difference is the dose and the person taking it.
Okay, that was a lot. And confusing, too. So is OMAD worth it or not?
The honest answer is it depends. OMAD is a powerful tool for certain people under certain conditions, but it's not for everyone.
Can I eat the quantity of 3 meals in that one meal?
No, that's the most common mistake. The goal is to eat your recommended daily calories, 1,800 to 2,500, depending on your age, sex, and activity level, in one well-planned, nutrient-dense meal.
What should be the timings to eat that one meal?
Chrononutrition research shows that insulin sensitivity and glucose tolerance are highest in the morning and early afternoon. A study found that eating aligned with your circadian clock improves metabolic outcomes. Eat your OMAD meal between 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. Avoid late night. It disrupts melatonin, impairs glucose metabolism, and interferes with sleep.
What should that one meal actually contain?
It needs to be a nutritional powerhouse.
First, protein. 30 to 40% of your plate. Chicken, fish, eggs, paneer, lentils, tofu. Aim for 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight. Second, healthy fats. 25 to 30%. Avocado, olive oil, nuts, seeds, ghee. They slow digestion and help absorb vitamins A, D, E, K. Third, complex carbohydrates. 30 to 35%. Sweet potatoes, quinoa, oats, brown rice. These provide sustained energy and feed your beneficial gut bacteria. Fourth, at least half your plate should be colorful vegetables. Broccoli, spinach, bell peppers, kale. Fiber slows glucose absorption and prevents the blood sugar spikes. Fifth, consider a multivitamin. Getting 100% of daily vitamins and minerals in one meal is genuinely difficult.
What about water and coffee during the fasting window?
Water is essential. 2 to 3 liters throughout the day. Black coffee and unsweetened green tea won't break your fast. Coffee actually stimulates autophagy. But no sugar, no milk, no cream.
Who should not do OMAD?
Pregnant or breastfeeding women. Children and teenagers, anyone with eating disorders, diabetes, low blood pressure, hypothyroidism, on medications, OMAD can trigger binge restrict cycles. Always consult your doctor.
One last question. Is OMAD better than regular intermittent fasting, like 16:8?
Yes, for most people. The 16:8 method provides many of the same benefits with fewer risks. OMAD is like a sports car, powerful and impressive, but most people drive better in a reliable sedan. Pick the vehicle that matches your road. And remember, the most effective diet is the one you can sustain. Your body rewards consistency, not extremity. If you learned something new today, please like, share, and subscribe. Understanding complex science in a fun and easy way is what we do here. See you in the next one. Stay curious, stay healthy.